discover the incredible, life-changing journey of the British Empire, 400 years of heartwarming courage and betrayal. Jake stood outside the Maplewood factory, wiping the sweat from his brow. He had grinded through another long shift, the machinery's roar still echoing in his ears. Life here was tough, especially after losing Lisa. 2 years had passed since cancer took her away, but the wound felt fresh. He glanced down the street, where the sun cast a warm glow over the houses that lined it. They were good people, his neighbors, always ready to help out. But Jake felt utterly alone, the weight of his daughter Emily's future pressing heavy on his heart. On a particularly sweltering afternoon, he returned home, hoping to find Emily in her room, but the house was eerily quiet. "Em?" he called, his voice breaking against the silence. He found her rummaging through the attic, searching for some distraction. It was the same for him. Cleaning out memories of Lisa was hard, but it was necessary. "Dad, you have to see this," Emily shouted, her voice laced with excitement. She stumbled upon a trunk filled with dusty letters and photographs, remnants of a long-lost ancestor linked to the British Empire. The moment struck like lightning in Jake's chest. This was a pulse of legacy, echoing history. He could see her eyes sparking with curiosity, her spirit flaring as they explored a world beyond their grief. "Wow, look at this," she said, holding up a crumbling letter adorned with elegant script. The flowing words spoke of courage and sacrifice, what it meant to stand firm against overwhelming odds. For the first time in a long time, Jake felt a flicker of hope. They spent hours together, sharing snippets of their ancestors' life, igniting a sense of purpose. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But with excitement soon came tension. They learned of struggles faced by the townsfolk, how Maplewood had weathered financial storms that threatened to tear it apart. Emily's desire to understand their roots contrasted with Jake's obsession to keep her on a stable path. "You don't get it, Dad," she shouted one evening, frustration pouring out like a flood. "We're not just a history book. We're part of something bigger." Jake's chest tightened. How had they come to this impasse? He wanted her to dream, but his fear chained him. Confronted with her yearning for connection, he realized his grief had built a wall between them. The strain of the factory's future loomed large over his thoughts, and his self-doubt swelled. As the nights passed, Jake pondered the lessons from their ancestors' past. Would he rise above the weight of his insecurities? Could he and Emily bridge the generational gap that threatened their bond and their hopes? He wondered if this trunk was not just a relic, but the key to understanding their own family story. The tension was palpable, each moment aching with unspoken fears. As Jake sat on the brink of making a heart-wrenching decision, could he truly connect with Emily and embrace a future they both yearned for? The unanswered questions lingered, a storm brewing just beneath the surface, waiting to burst forth. Courage and betrayal. Days turned into weeks as Jake and Emily delved deeper into the trunk's hidden treasures. Each letter, each photograph turned into a bridge, linking their present to a past they never knew. Emily was relentless, her curiosity unwavering, while Jake struggled to reconcile their ancestors' bold exploits with his own failures. One evening, as the sky painted hues of orange and pink, Emily waved an old photograph in front of Jake. "Look at this one, Dad. It's a whole family. They lived here." Her eyes sparkled with excitement. The photograph depicted a group of proud men, women, and children gathered outside a cottage that looked strikingly familiar. Jake leaned in closer, instinctively drawn to the distribution of smiles, the unfiltered joy they radiated. "Yeah, that S." Jake hesitated. "That S, the old Thompson house. I didn't know anybody had photos of it." Memories of his childhood came flooding back. The tree out front where he once carved his initials, the backyard where his mother used to have picnics. It was a place filled with laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the lonely house he lived in now. "Can you believe our ancestor lived here too?" she beamed. Jake forced a smile, but knots formed in his stomach. Instead of excitement, fear bubbled underneath. What if the past revealed truths about courage that he couldn't live up to? "Dad, I want to go visit the Thompson house," Emily said, her voice brimming with hope. His heart sank. "I don't know him. It's just an old building now. The new family wouldn't he want?" Her excitement dimmed slightly. "But it's where our story began. We can learn so much more." Jake paused. He could see the passion in her eyes, the eagerness to connect with a legacy rather than to escape it. For the first time, he felt wrestled loose from the chains of his own fears, yet uncertainty still loomed. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the room into shadows, Jake realized that running from their history wouldn't make it disappear. His instincts screamed for him to protect Emily, but each time he tried, he felt her slipping further away, like sand through his fingers. The following days were hard. The balance of trying to nurture hope in Emily while patching the gaping wounds in his heart seemed impossible. With every talk, he grew more aware that their relationship needed a new foundation. If only he could embrace the discovery of their ancestor instead of pushing it away. Then came the day of reckoning, a knock at the door, loud and firm, shattering their routine. "Mr. Thompson?" The voice called out. Jake opened the door to find a stranger standing there, arms crossed, a serious expression on their face. "I'm here about the old house. We need to talk." Jake's heart raced, anxiety bubbling in his chest. What could this mean? Did they discover the trunk? Were they aware of the history that connected them? Emily appeared behind Jake, eyes wide with intrigue. "Who is it, Dad?" Jake felt torn, the fear of what lay ahead colliding with the thrill of the unknown. Maybe this was the moment he could step into that past, could take a leap toward understanding. Would they finally find answers? Or was this an opportunity better left unexplored? As he opened his mouth to respond, a fresh wave of uncertainty washed over him. What lay ahead could alter everything they thought they knew. He looked into Emily's hopeful eyes and steeled himself for what was to come. Come in," he finally said, bracing himself for a conversation that might change their lives forever. The threshold had been crossed. What awaited them could be both shocking and revealing. Would the family legacy strengthen their bond or tear them apart? The stranger stepped into the dimly lit living room, the weight of uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. Jake couldn't place the pressure building in his chest. Was it fear or anticipation? The visitor was tall, with an air of authority that suggested he was accustomed to being listened to. He removed his hat slowly, revealing salt and pepper hair that matched the seriousness in his deep-set eyes. "Thanks for inviting me in," the man said, his voice steady but soft. "I'm Greg. I represent the current owners of the Thompson house." Jake's mouth felt dry, and he gestured toward the couch, still caught off guard. "Please, have a seat." Emily slid next to her dad, curiosity etched on her face. Greg settled into the chair across from them, folding his hands as if he were about to deliver news, good or bad. He wasn't saying yet. "Do you know why I'm here?" he asked. "I'm assuming it's about the trunk," Jake responded, his voice trembling slightly. "The old photographs, the letters?" Greg shifted in his seat, his expression softening. "Yes. Your family's history is a bit more complicated than just a collection of memories." Jake clenched his fists. The last thing he wanted was to dredge up any painful truths. "What do you mean?" Your ancestors' legacy is deeply woven into the community, Greg began, leaning forward, a glimmer of respect in his eyes. The Thompson house is more than a home. It's a monument to the sacrifices made by your family for future generations. Emily's eyes shone bright with excitement. Tell us more, please. Jake could feel the warmth radiating from his daughter, but fear coiled tighter around his heart. What if the truth shattered the illusion of strength he had built for himself? Your great-great-grandfather was known for standing up against injustice, Greg stated, his tone grave. He led a group of families to preserve the land and the history connected to it. It wasn't easy. They faced great odds, but they did it together. The words wrapped around Jake like a lifeline, but at the same time sunk him deeper into doubt. And what does that mean now? What do you want from us? We need to ensure that your family understands its place in this ongoing story, Greg responded, each word deliberate. The new owners are planning to renovate the house, but discovered a set of conditions tied to the property. It's important to share your family's story with the community before they make any changes. Emily's face lit up like fireflies in the night. That's amazing. We could help with that. Jake remained quiet, wrestling with a storm of emotions. The house, the photographs, it was all a part of something much larger than himself. But the idea of diving headfirst into their family's past terrified him. Greg continued, sensing Jake's hesitation. You have a chance to reclaim your family's narrative. To honor them, to understand your ancestry in a way that can transform how you see yourself. Jake looked at Emily, and in that moment, he saw her longing for connection not just with their ancestors, but with him. The spark in her eyes was a mirror reflecting a path forward he could no longer ignore. But what if the truth is too much? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. What if I'm not strong enough? Emily took his hand, warmth flooding through him, a reminder of what truly mattered. Dad, we're in this together. You can't let fear win. Jake closed his eyes momentarily, feeling the weight of spirits past pressing on him. Perhaps this was the moment to embrace the legacy instead of running from it. All right, Greg. Let us hear more about this story. As they sat together, the three of them weaving through time, Jake knew this journey had merely begun, a step towards unraveling the threads of courage that had long eluded him. But now, a new question loomed: would they uncover more about their family, or would shadows in the past rise to darken their future? Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his decision settle on his shoulders. The shadows in the room flickered as the light from the single lamp cast a warm glow over Greg's face. The man seemed ready to guide them into the depths of history, ready to unlock a chapter of their lives that had long been buried. Let us start with the trunk, Greg suggested, nodding toward the corner of the room. It holds more than just photographs and letters. It contains the stories, the struggles, and perhaps even the dreams your ancestors held onto. Emily's excitement bubbled over, her voice rising with anticipation. Can we open it now? Jake lingered in his fear, glancing at Greg. What if we uncover something painful? Sometimes pain unveils strength, Greg replied gently. Your family built resilience over generations. We can face it together. Under that encouraging note, Jake felt a flicker of courage. He nodded, and together with Emily, they moved towards the trunk. It sat there, ancient and intimidating, as though it held all the secrets of their past. As they knelt before it, Jake's fingers trembled slightly before he managed to grip the rusty latch. With a soft click, the trunk opened, revealing stacks of yellowed papers and sepia-toned photographs. Emily peered inside, pulling out a bundle of letters tied with a fraying ribbon. Listen to this, she said, unfolding a letter with careful hands. It's from your great-great-grandfather. He wrote this to his brother just before the rally to save the land. Jake leaned in, the words spilling out like a secret. We cannot let fear dictate our choices. The land is our home. Our children deserve to know the sacrifices we've made for them. As he listened to Emily read, the words sunk into his chest, a promise, a call to arms, echoing through time. He could almost feel his ancestor's presence, as though he was right there beside him, urging him to continue the fight. "Dad, look at this," Emily exclaimed, pulling out a photograph. It was a family portrait taken in front of the Thompson house, all smiles and light, generations before them. Jake felt his heart swell as he recognized familiar features, the outline of his own face visible among those of his ancestors. Greg smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. "They smile through you, Jake. This house and your family, these stories need to be told. We need to document this history, and with it, your family can reclaim its legacy." "Document?" Jake echoed, the idea igniting a spark of creativity within him. "What do you have in mind?" "A community project, perhaps," Greg proposed. "Work with local schools, host gatherings, share these stories in a way that brings everyone together. Let them know what this house truly stands for." Emily nodded enthusiastically. "We could even create a blog. Everyone loves stories." Jake felt a wave of hope rush over him. For the first time, this family burden felt lighter. "We could do that. We could honor them, and maybe in the process, we find ourselves too." In the following moments, they shared ideas, their voices blending with the air thick with nostalgia. Jake's heart swelled with each revelation, and layer by layer, his fear began to peel away. It was time to stand up, time to uncover not just their family's past, but also the strength within themselves. But just as he started to feel invincible, Greg's expression shifted. "There is something else you need to know about the house, something connected to the conditions the new owners found." A chill crept back into the room. Jake's heart skipped a beat. What else could they uncover? What shadows still lurked in the corners of the Thompson house? "Tell us," Jake said, heart racing. Greg took a deep breath, preparing them for the next twist in their journey. Greg's gaze fell to the floor for a moment, the weight of his words hanging thick in the air like smoke. "When the new owners took possession of the house," he began, his voice low and solemn, "they discovered something unsettling in the basement. They said it was evidence of struggles that went way beyond anything you might find in letters or photographs." Jake felt his stomach drop. "What do you mean? What kind of evidence?" Greg took another deep breath, skinning his palms together, as if to steady his nerves. "They found remnants of someone's life. Not the beautiful stories you've seen so far. No, they discovered secret compartments, hidden artifacts, things that suggested a much darker part of your family's history." "What kind of artifacts?" Emily's voice, once brimming with excitement, now trembled as it echoed within the room. It was a collection of things that indicate not all stories ended in hope. There were eviction notices, contracts of oppressive debt, items that could have belonged to people who fought against your ancestors for their rights. His words were heavy, each laden with unspoken feeling. Jake clenched his fists, his heart racing. "You're saying there are painful truths hidden here? Things we weren't meant to know?" "Exactly," Greg affirmed, his eyes fixed on Jake. "Your family's legacy may not be as straightforward as we had hoped. But in understanding these things, and acknowledging the pain, you may find a clearer path forward." Emily glanced from Greg to Jake, uncertainty clouding her expression. "Do we really want to dig deeper? What if it tears us apart instead of bringing us together?" Jake swallowed hard, but he couldn't shake the feeling that they had to learn the full story. "We can't hide from it. We owe it to our ancestors and to ourselves. If we're going to share their legacy, we have to embrace all of it." Greg nodded in approval. "It takes courage to face history, especially when it's uncomfortable. But it's when we confront those hard truths that we grow stronger." With a newfound determination swelling within him, Jake looked at the trunk again, the photographs and letters shimmering under the dim light. "Where do we start?" "There might be more letters in the trunk that detail those conflicts," Greg explained, leaning closer to the artifacts. And I have some connections at the local archives. We might unearth even more context that can help you understand the whole tapestry of your family as history. As they pondered this next step, the uneasiness lingered in the air, wrapping around them like a fog. But now it was mixed with something else, an intensity that signaled they were on the cusp of understanding. Greg reached into the trunk and pulled out a tattered notebook. This belonged to your great-grandmother. It may contain her thoughts on the very issues your family wrestled with. Are you ready to dive into this? Jake felt a rush of emotion, a blend of fear and excitement as he nodded. Let us do it. We need to face whatever was hidden in this house. As Emily steadied her breath, she took one look into Jake's determined eyes. Whatever we find, we'll do it together, right? Right, Jake replied, feeling the knot in his chest begin to unfurl. But just as they began to open the notebook, a loud thud echoed from outside, sending their hearts racing once more. What else could be lurking beyond the walls of the Thompson house? What surprises still waited for them as they uncovered the past? The thud echoed through the quiet house, reverberating against the walls like a warning bell. Jake's heart raced, and he exchanged a quick glance with Emily. Her wide eyes mirrored his anxiety. What was that? She whispered, glancing toward the window as if expecting to see the source of the noise. Probably just the wind, Greg offered, though his tone lacked conviction. He stood, still clutching the tattered notebook, clearly less at ease than he had been moments before. Jake shook his head, unwilling to accept that explanation. We should check it out? It could be anything. The thrill mixed with dread sent a shiver down his spine. He felt compelled to unearth every secret buried in the house, starting with whatever had just intruded upon their moment of discovery. Let us stick together, Emily suggested, her voice steadier than before. They needed each other as strength now more than ever. As they crept toward the door, Jake noticed the dusty floorboards creak beneath their steps. Every small sound intensified the atmosphere, thickening the air with uncertainty. The notebook's fragile pages captivated his thoughts, but the mystery outside eclipsed his curiosity. Reaching the door, Jake hesitated, gripping the handle with clammy palms. On the count of 3, he said, trying to inject some courage into his voice. Just open it, Emily urged, her impatience peeking through. Okay, he replied, feeling the weight of their shared worries. 1, 2, 3. He flung the door open. The cool evening air rushed in, carrying the scent of damp earth and the sounds of distant echoes. They stepped into the yard, eyes scanning for anything out of place. The trees swayed in the wind, their branches casting eerie shadows across the yard. But there was nothing, no signs of trespassers, no disturbances. Just the quiet rustling of leaves and the chirping of crickets filling the void. Maybe it was just an animal, Greg said, peering into the shadows. Jake could see relief wash over him, but Jake's ears still perked up, instinctively on alert. Or maybe it's something more, Jake said, unable to shake the unease, as he took a few cautious steps forward. Just then, something caught his eye. A glimmer under the moonlight, barely visible beneath the overgrown grass. He squatted down, brushing the blades aside with trembling fingers. Whoa, what is it? Emily asked, stepping closer. Jake uncovered a small, rusty key that glimmered in the light. His breath caught in his throat as he felt the weight of it in his hand. What is this doing here? He held it up, heart pounding with possibilities. What if it opens something like a hidden compartment or a box? Emily nodded, her curiosity ignited anew. Maybe it's part of the darker truths we're looking for. Greg's face brightened. I've heard rumors of a hidden cellar beneath the house. A secret space forgotten over time. That thought resonated with Jake. A tunnel to something deeper, something lost. Here was a thread they could pull at one that could lead them to answers or uncover new questions entirely. Let us go back. We need to see if it fits anywhere, Jake declared, his adrenaline surging. "Are we ready for whatever else lies hidden?" Emily asked, uncertainty creeping back into her voice. "I don't know," Jake admitted. "But we have to try. For us, for the family history, and for the truth." Together, they returned to the house, the key feeling heavier in his pocket with each step. As they crossed the threshold, a sudden chill swept through the hallway. Shadows danced along the walls, and for a split second, Jake thought he saw something move. "Did you see that?" he whispered, voice cracking with a mix of fear and anticipation. With the weight of their discovery looming, the door to their family's past swung open wider, and Jake wondered if they were ready to step through it. What other secrets would they unlock, and at what cost? Jake felt the air shift around them as they stepped back inside, his pulse quickening. The key felt like a small weight in his pocket, but its significance loomed larger with every passing moment. Shadows flickered across the walls, almost alive, as if the house itself was holding its breath around them. "Where do we even start?" Emily asked, her voice low. She looked around, her nervousness mixing with renewed determination. The flickering lights cast strange shapes, making the familiar feel foreign. "Let us check the basement," Jake said, sliding the key between his fingers. That's where Greg heard the rumors about the cellar. Greg swallowed hard but nodded. "Yeah, let us see if it fits any doors down there." The trio moved cautiously toward the basement door. The stairs creaked under their weight, and with every step, Jake felt as if they were descending deeper, not just into the house, but into something far more daunting. A hush enveloped them as they reached the bottom, the darkness wrapping around their shoulders like an old, heavy coat. The basement held the scent of dust and decay, stacked boxes fading into shadows. Jake felt his heart race, a mixture of trepidation and excitement. The faint light from their phones combined with the fading glow of old bulbs barely illuminated the space, but they pressed on. "Over here," Greg called out softly, pointing to a section of the stone wall that seemed less weathered. The stones looked oddly symmetrical, almost as if they had been arranged deliberately. Jake stepped closer, kneeling down to examine it. He could feel the cool, damp stone beneath his palm, and a flicker of hope ignited in his chest. This might be it, the hidden cellar. Emily took a deep breath, reaching for the key in Jake's hand. "Do you think it will work?" she asked, uncertainty lacing her words. "It has to," Jake replied, trying to inject confidence into their uncertain reality. He handed her the key, the weight of his anticipation shared. As she approached the wall, everyone held their breath. Emily inserted the key into a small, rusted lock that was nearly camouflaged in the shadows. The lock resisted at first, but with a gentle turn, they heard the gratifying click. The door, which looked more like a thick panel of stone than anything else, shifted slightly. Jake's heart raced. They exchanged glances, and for a fleeting moment, they all understood the enormity of what they were about to confront. "Are you ready for this?" Greg asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "No turning back now," Jake replied, trying to mask the quiver in his voice with bravado. Emily pushed the door slowly, revealing a narrow tunnel that stretched deeper into the gloomy unknown beyond them. Cold air rushed out, carrying with it the scent of dampness and an unmistakable hint of something long forgotten. "What do you think is down there?" she asked, her eyes wide with excitement and fear. "No idea, but it's time we find out," Jake responded, stepping forward, led by a force greater than mere curiosity. They stepped into the dark, the torchlights flickering as they entered. The tunnel was damp and narrow, the walls lined with moss and age. As they ventured deeper, shadows closed in around them. Every footstep echoed, each sound amplifying the feelings of dread and exhilaration that churned within. Then, they found it a small chamber at the end that glinted slightly with an unnatural glow. "What is this?" Emily murmured, drawing closer. Jake felt the pull of destiny, and in that moment, He knew they were on the brink of something incredible. Was it treasure, history, or something darker that awaited them? As anticipation electrified the air, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that not all secrets were meant to be uncovered. What would they awaken? And would they be ready to face whatever lies within? Jake's heartbeat resonated in his ears, syncing with the dead air around them. The glow in the small chamber beckoned him closer, a siren's call amidst the damp and the shadows. He barely noticed Emily's hand brushing against his arm, her eyes wide and filled with wonder and fear. "Do you feel that?" she whispered, voice barely audible above the pounding of his heart. "What?" Jake asked, staring at the light. It pulsed softly, almost as if it had a heartbeat of its own. "It feels alive," Emily replied, her breath hitching. Greg stood beside them, his face etched with confusion and curiosity, equally entranced by the strange luminescence. Cautiously, Jake stepped forward, the earth beneath him crunching softly. The chamber was small, barely wide enough for the three of them to stand side by side. The walls wore layers of moisture along with intricate carvings that danced in and out of the shadows, each telling a tale long forgotten. "What is that?" Greg pointed toward the source of the glow. Nestled among jagged stones was a metal chest, ancient and ornate, its surface covered in a veil of dust and age. The glow seeped from within, illuminating the dust like stars. Jake felt a magnetic pull toward it, but a wave of doubt crashed over him. "Should we really open it?" he asked, uncertainty creeping into his voice. Emily glanced at him, her excitement bubbling over with nervous energy. "We came this far. What if it's treasure? Or a clue? Or something we're not ready for," Jake replied, shaking off a creeping chill. He could sense the weight of the moment pressing down on him, an urge to grab onto something solid, as shadows flickered ominously around them. "But what if the answers we need are inside?" she countered, her determination swirling in the air around them. Jake locked eyes with her, the unspoken bond of friendship and adventure igniting a spark of courage in his chest. With a slow breath, he turned away from the glowing chest and looked for anything that could shed light on what lay ahead. "Let us be smart about this," he suggested. "We should look around first. There might be more clues." The group fanned out slightly, casting their lights across the chamber. More carvings revealed age-old symbols and drawings, figures dancing, landscapes shifting, moments frozen in time. As Jake traced a finger along one carving, it struck him. They're stories. Each symbol seemed to narrate a sequence, a history nestled deep within the stone. But then Emily gasped, pulling his attention back to her. "Jake, come look." Heart racing, he moved to her side, where she stood beside a stone relief that depicted a key much like the one they had found. "It's showing a key," Emily said, pointing. "But where is that lock?" As they shifted their focus, the weight of the moment rested heavily on their shoulders. What if, Greg began, stepping closer, what if this entire place is a puzzle waiting to be solved? A crack echoed through the chamber as a stone shifted behind them. Panic seized Jake. "Did you hear that?" "Yeah," Greg replied, eyes darting toward the sound. What was that? The air around them grew thick, and Jake felt an uneasy knot form in his stomach. They had unearthed something, that much was clear. But with every step deeper into this mystery, Jake worried what price they might pay for both curiosity and answers. "Let us not linger too long," Emily urged, urgency creeping into her voice. "We should decide. Open the chest? Or find the lock first?" Jake stood there, heart racing, feeling the weight of history, of decisions, pressing down. What if whatever we find inside could change everything? But just as they reached a decision, the walls trembled around them, dust cascading from overhead. An unsettling roar echoed down the tunnel, a warning or a threat. They exchanged glances, hearts pounding. Was the truth too dangerous to learn? Behind them, shadows began to shift in the dark, and a whisper floated through the chamber, chilling Jake to the bone. Only those worthy may unlock the past, and with breath caught in their throats, they stood at the precipice of a choice that could alter the very fabric of their lives. What would they do next? Jake's stomach twisted as the whisper reverberated through the small chamber, wrapping around them like a frigid fog. He glanced at Emily and Greg. Their faces mirrored his own uncertainty mixed with an undeniable thrill. The air felt charged, electric with possibilities, and every fiber of his being screamed for them to either turn back or step forward. What do we do? Greg's voice barely broke the tension. We can't just stand here. Jake took a deep breath. The pulsing light from the chest intensified, filling the room with an otherworldly glow. He could feel its lure, a force that was impossible to ignore. Maybe there is something in those carvings that can help us decide? Emily nodded, her eyes still locked on the chest. We should look closer at the carvings. They could tell us what is at stake. With newfound determination, the trio moved toward the wall. Jake brushed dust away along the stone reliefs, revealing vibrant colors hidden beneath. The figures seemed to leap to life, engaging in ancient dances, their expressions full of passion and purpose. He felt a flicker of resonance with each image. It's like they're guiding us. Each carving seemed to depict choices being made, heroes venturing forth, confronting dark forces, and triumphs blossoming amid adversity. It's all so human, Emily said, breathless. Jake was drawn to a particular image. It showed a figure grasping a key in one hand and an open lock in the other. Beneath it, smaller symbols spiraled outward, illustrating the consequences of that choice. Fearlessness, regret, discovery, and redemption. It's showing what happens when someone makes a choice. But we need to be careful. What if we open the chest? Greg suggested, his excitement bubbling over. What if it's something incredible? Or dangerous, Jake countered, his voice steady but his heart racing. We don't know what is inside, or why it's glowing, or who that whisper was meant for. Emily, her fingers brushing over the intricate carvings, turned to him. Jake, we came here together for a reason, right? To discover something bigger than ourselves. Whatever happens next, we could face it together. Her conviction ignited a spark in Jake's chest. Together. He repeated the word as if tasting it for the first time. The connection they shared had strengthened through their trials, and even amidst the growing darkness, he could feel a sense of hope linger. The roar echoed once more, louder this time, rattling the walls and vibrating through their bones. It was as if the chamber itself was coming alive, demanding their decision. Jake swallowed hard, each heartbeat drumming in his ears. Okay, he finally made a choice. Let us go for it. But we need to be ready for anything. Emily, grab that carving of a key. Greg, stand by me on this side of the chest. They formed a small circle, hands clammy but sure. As Emily carefully extracted the carving, it glowed faintly, bathing them in a warm light. It feels like it's connected to this place, she said, eyes wide. Jake reached for the latch of the chest, feeling the cold metal beneath his fingers. On 3? He asked, adrenaline rushing through him. On 3, Emily affirmed, nodding resolutely. 1, 2, 3. They pulled open the chest in unison. The glow erupted, blinding them momentarily, and when it faded, the chest lay empty, save for a shimmering piece of parchment resting at its bottom. Confusion washed over them. What is this? Jake bent forward, heart pounding in rhythm with the flickering light. As he unfolded the parchment, words unfolded, cryptic yet strangely intimate. Suddenly, everything shifted. They heard whispers of laughter and sorrow entwined, and the chamber seemed to sway under the weight of thousands of stories waiting to be told. What did we unleash? Greg murmured, his eyes darting around the shifting shadows. Jake held the parchment tightly, feeling its weight, realizing this was no mere clue. I don't know, he admitted, dread curling in his stomach. But we're about to find out. As the shadows whispered louder, a new question echoed in their minds. What if the truth they'd uncovered was far from the adventure they had envisioned? The atmosphere in the chamber thickened as Jake cautiously unraveled the parchment. It felt fragile yet alive, the words seeming to pulse beneath his fingertips. Shadows flickered around them, mirroring the uncertainty coursing through his veins. What had they really found? As the words came into view, they revealed a story, a tale of courage, betrayal, and loss. Each letter felt like a memory, a section of their family's history uncovered for the first time. Jake's heart raced as he read aloud, letting the words flow between them. The sacrifices made for the greater good cannot be forgotten. Our land, our lives, interconnected, but not without enemies who sought to destroy us. He paused, the gravity of the message sinking in. Emily's face was a mix of wonder and dread. Next to him, Greg looked equally enraptured and concerned. "This is huge," Emily breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "It sounds like a call to arms." "A warning." "Exactly," Jake said, his brow furrowed. "But also a reminder our ancestors fought for the community, and so must we." The air crackled with anticipation. What did this mean for them, for Maplewood? "Together, we must reckon with the truth," Jake continued, feeling the warmth from the parchment fill him with newfound resolve. "Not just our family's story, but the entire community's. Those who built this legacy did so amidst conflicts. We can't just ignore that." Greg was nodding along, excitement bubbling over. "We should take this to the local archives. They might have more records, stories, everything. We can share it all." As the words hung in the air, a sudden rumbling jolted them, reverberating through the chamber once again. The whispers grew louder, overwhelming Jake's senses. It felt like the house itself was urging them to act. "Let us not waste any more time," Emily said, determination shining through her initial fear. "We'll uncover everything together." With that, a palpable energy surrounded them, lifting their hearts as they stepped closer to the shared goal ahead. The shadows that had loomed large a moment ago started to feel like old friends, familiar rather than frightening. They retraced their steps out of the hidden chamber, their resolve stronger than ever. Back in the basement, as they climbed the stairs, Greg mentioned, "We need to invite the community to join us. A gathering. Get everyone to share their own connections to the Thompson legacy." "Yes!" Emily exclaimed. "We can create a living archive, a connection of shared stories. The larger our stories, the more understanding we build." Jake felt an undeniable warmth spread through his chest. "Then let us do it. It's time to honor our ancestors, and heal the scars we didn't know existed. Through hope, not fear." Once they reached the main floor, the sun began to set, painting the walls of the Thompson house in golden hues. For the first time, Jake didn't see it as a burden, but as a beacon of hope, filled with whispers of the past guiding them onward. Emily squeezed his hand tightly, her joy radiant. "It's our turn now, Dad. We're going to make a difference," she said, her confidence contagious. As they gathered the contents of the trunk, excitement flowed between them like electricity. The world outside felt brighter, vibrant with possibility. Maplewood was not just a place. It was a tapestry woven from shared dreams, struggles, and history. They spent the next few days bringing their vision to life, reaching out to neighbors, setting up gatherings, and creating a community filled with voices wanting to share their stories. The connection blossomed beautifully, unearthing strengths in people that had long been dormant. And then, on the day of their first community meeting, the Thompson house stood proud and welcoming. Neighbors milled about. Laughter spilled into the warm evening air. Each shared story tethered them closer together, healing previous betrayals with the sweetness of unity. In that moment, Jake watched Emily connect with others, her eyes sparkling as she shared their journey through the family trunk. The joy on her face lit up the room, and all at once, he felt the weight of his fears fall away completely. No longer the lonely father shackled by grief, but a part of something magnificent, a legacy reborn through courage, understanding, and love. As the meeting wrapped up, Jake realized their ancestors had prepared them for this very moment. They were ready to carry forward that lineage of strength, resilience, and community spirit. With a radiant smile, he began to believe they could create a future together, free from past shadows. As they stepped outside, hand in hand, the sun dipped low, casting a warm glow that felt like a promise, a commitment to keep the stories alive, not just for themselves, but for generations yet to come. This was just the beginning, a new chapter of their family legacy, one filled with hope and courage and the knowledge that together they could rise above anything the world threw at them. Now it was time to embrace not just a past, but a vibrant future. Together, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.